name is Paul Porch. I'm a member of the Tar Heel Air Gun Club here in North Carolina, and I want to welcome you to the Fortress of Pellitude, aka my house and my property. Airgun field target is a great sport that many of you at any age can try. I myself started this sport at the age of 62 after I retired. My friend Jimmy Fussell of Camp Fussell fame on YouTube showed me his high-powered air guns, and the rest is history. I was hooked. This is a sport that anyone at any age can enjoy. It's a whole lot cheaper to shoot a tin of 500 pellets than to buy 20 powder burner cartridges. It's quieter too. For these introductory videos, I'm just going to give you the basics to get started in the sport. It would be for folks to shoot at hunter class, and which is basically the entry where most people come into it. Well, I'm going to let myself narrate a few minutes while I take another shot. Field target competition is broken down into 4 classes. Hunter, where you can sit on a bucket and a seat and use an unattached bipod to shoot off of, and your scope magnification is limited to 12 power. When ranging, you cannot click elevation, but you can use holdovers. You can also lie in the prone position with an unattached bipod. Generally, at all matches, you'll shoot 15 lanes, 2 targets each lane. You shoot them in order, either near to far or left to right, 2 shots at each target for a total of 60 shots. Your total at the end is the culmination of all your shots minus your misses to bring you close to 60. The second is open class, where you can shoot on a pad on the ground and use a harness, shooting coat, but no other means of support except your arms to shoot. Your scope power is unlimited and you can click the elevation knob. Then there is a world field target class where you position like open class, but you can't use the harness and the power of the gun is less. This is keeping with the world rules shot in other countries. Last is a relatively new class being tried in most clubs called unlimited, where you're unlimited in accessories and positions. You can use any scope power, position, attached bipods, laser, rangefinders, etc. This class is a local club selection for now, not being recognized by the American Air Gun Field Target Association, or AFTA, the ruling body of the sport in the Americas. All these classes are also Springer or brake barrel divided, so all the folks can shoot there in their own class and own gun type. First things first, the gun. You can get into field target with just about any pellet rifle. It must be a soft lead shooting pellet rifle. BB guns are not allowed, as a hard BB can ricochet and hurt bystanders. Also, they usually are not powerful enough to drop the target. So just go ahead and hang that Daisy Red Ryder right back up on the wall where it's been sitting for the past 20 years. Any of the pellet rifles found at Walmart, Dick's Sporting Goods, Kmart, and other stores will be okay to get started. Choose a .177 caliber rifle, but you can shoot with a .22. There is a restriction on the FPE, which is the foot-pounds of energy that the gun produces, but the match director can allow for a fun shoot at a club. I am advocating for a novice class where all guns under a certain price and use of standard rifles will be encouraged. This would allow any store-bought rifle to shoot in this class. I will explain the method of setting your scope up to figure the range of your target. The scopes that you normally see only have a center crosshair. To be competitive in this sport, you need a scope that has mil dots or stadia, which are crosshatches, to determine the distance to the target in order to hit the reactive target in the kill zone and make it fall. Here's an illustration of what I am talking about as you look through the scope. First is a mil dot scope, and the second is a scope with stadia. The scope also must have a parallax adjustment. It is a form of focusing, usually on the front bell of the scope or a separate knob on the left side of the scope. What this does is allows you to precisely focus the scope to your target at different ranges. Like if you focus at 15 yards on a tree, it will be out of focus when you move to a tree 10 yards further out. You would need to dial in that new tree at the greater distance. When you look to buy one of these scopes, make sure it will focus down to 10 yards. Scopes set up like this are available at different sources, but I like Amazon.com or eBay, as they have a big selection and range from $50 to $1,000 for the higher end scopes. Usually around $100, and you have a good scope that will be clear for your purpose. Now, to determine the range to the target, you will need to find the range by using those mil dots or stadia. Here's how you set the scope up. Focus your scope and sight it in at 30 yards. I'm assuming you know how to use the windage and elevation knobs on a steady rest to align the scope to center. Once the scope is set at 30 yards, proceed to the next step. Take a regular 8.5 by 11-inch piece of paper and print or mark plus signs on it and label them from 10 to 55. After you reach 30 or 40 yards, according to your eyesight, start to make the plus signs larger to see them clear at a greater distance. Put the target on a backstop and place the target at 10 yards. Now put your crosshairs on the plus sign and squeeze off a pellet. The pellet hole should show up below the crosshair. The hole will be right beside or on one of the holdover dots. In this case, it's 3 mil dots. Go to your range sheet or your range card and record 10-3, indicating at 10 yards you have a 3 mil dot holdover. Okay, you should have the idea now. Next, you move the target to 11 yards away from you and shoot at the plus sign with the 11 above it. You will need to bring it into focus by turning the bell on the front of your scope if it is an aperture adjustable objective or on the side focus knob. Side focus knob is which I highly recommend, as the bell adjustment is a pain in the butt to work with in comparison. Now look through your scope and see where the hole is on 11 yards. It should be up a little compared to the last shot. So now we'll say it's 2 mil dots and a space in between 2 and 3. So you would mark your tablet at a known range, which would be 2.5 mil. Now do this all the way out to 55 yards with each increment. It should go dead on the crosshairs. When you get near the 30-yard mark, you sight your scope in. That's known as a flat zone. So mark your range card at whatever range it starts to go flat with an F, and then the next time the hole drops, it is at the end of the flat zone. Keep doing this procedure until you reach 55 yards. Okay, you can now tell where your pellet will hit at these ranges according to your card. But how do you know what range you are at on the scope? The markings on the front bell or the side focus knob are not accurate to your actual ranges on the range card. So here's what you do. If possible, buy a scope that has a larger side wheel that comes with it. If not, you'll need to find an aftermarket one that will fit it. A good lower end scope is a UTG or Leaper scope. They're entry-level scopes that are quite good. I shoot them on my competition pistol and I'm happy with them. If the particular scope does not come with a wheel, they're easily available aftermarket. Again, check Amazon.com for this stuff. On the side wheel of the front aperture, run a piece of tape around the edge of it. I've used medical white tape and even a piece of thin white paper. I usually write the distances in as I shoot the target when getting my holdovers. I mark the tape at the spot that the scope ring meets. You can also squeeze a pin or a nail into the rings when setting up the scope. This allows you a pointer that normally costs $25 and attaches to the scope. And the best part is it's free. I like to put the ranges and the holdover on the wheel at the same time. Side by side, it makes it easier so you don't have to look for your range card. Then use a range card as a backup. Buying an illuminated reticle scope is a plus for the dark shots that are in the woods. Keep that in mind when you select a new scope. Here are a few of the side focus scopes I have used that work great. First, on the low end is a scope that is large and comes with rings, sunshade, side wheel, and anything you need for under $100 on eBay. It is a ZOS 10-40 by 60 side focus, and it is illuminated. Another inexpensive scope on Amazon for under $100 is the Sniper. It has all the trimmings too, just like the ZOS. It's illuminated, but it is a front focus AO model, so you'll have to turn the bell to focus. Now we step it up a little bit. Here is an Aeon 8-32 by 50 side focused, but it's not illuminated, but a very clear scope, and it's priced around $315. Now we get into one of the better scopes. It's a Hawk 8x32 by 56 Sidewinder scope. It's illuminated, side focus, and it has exceptional clarity for around $499. It's not cheap, but if you're going to do any of the national competitions, it's well worth the money. Last is a Nico Target Master 10-50 by 60 scope. Side focus and illuminated. Again, this is around $499. As you can see, this is the one scope I use on my competition rifle. Keep in mind, this is a very family-friendly sport. At the club matches, you'll get tons of support from fellow members, and when you decide to jump into a better rifle or a different class, the support will be there too. There are many sources for information on the sport. Just Google the Yellow Forum or Airgun Nation to name a few. Suppliers for high-end air rifles would be Precision Air, Airguns Arizona, and Pyramyd Air. Well, that's all I have for now in this video. Come back and watch the next video in this series, where I'll explain the match rules and how to shoot the competition. In the meantime, get outside and start slinging some lead.